Okay, now we're going to look at special angles. And now this is when we want to find an angle of when cos, sine or tan equals to 1 or 0 or -1. Okay, those are some special cases, 1, 0 or -1. In those cases, it's very easy if you actually draw a diagram and determine your answers by looking at that diagram. Okay, so I'll show you how to look at the diagram and then determine the answers. So starting with an example, we know that the sine, okay, sine x graph. Hope you guys know how to actually draw these. Sine graphs always start from the origin and it goes up and down, on and on and on, okay? That's the sine graph. Now, we know that sine is between -1 and +1, right? Now, I want to determine when sine x equals to 1, okay? When sine x equals to 1. So, we want to determine what x is, okay? What makes sine what is 1? Well, have a look on the diagram. Have a look here. That's 1, okay? That's when sine x is 1. So the angle here simply be 90 degrees. Therefore, x is simply 90 degrees, and that's it. Okay, so see how easy it was by looking at our diagram? Okay, so trying to familiarize with the diagram as well. So therefore, this is simple. Sine x equals to 1, x is 90 degrees. All right. Now, I want to determine when sine x is 0. Sine what makes 0? Well, these are the points where sine x is 0. So what are the angles? That's 0 degrees, that's 180 degrees, that's 360 degrees, isn't it? Yeah? Therefore, those three angles make 0. So sine 0, sine 180, sine 360, they're all equal to 0. Okay, so there are three solutions for this one, as shown in the diagram. Okay? So that's when sine x equals to 0. Now, when sine x equals to -1, well, it's going to be over here, isn't it? Sine x is -1 over here, so the angle that makes -1 is going to be this angle here, which is 270. Okay? And that's it. So x is 270 degrees. Sine 270 degrees simply makes -1. Okay, so that's the solution. And that's what we're going to be discussing in this section, okay? So that's sine x equals to -1. Now, I'm going to consider cos x. Okay, cos x, well, looks kind of similar to sine, but basically cos starts from 1, okay, from up there. So it goes down, up, and it goes on and on and on. But we're only going to consider up to 360 for this one, all right? Okay, so we know that cos is between -1 and 1. We want to know for when cos x equals to 1. So cos what equals to 1? Have a look at the diagram. See here and here? Those are when cos x equals to 1, isn't it? Because these make 1. So therefore, the angles that make that equal to 1 is this angle here, which is 0 degrees, and this angle here, which is 360 degrees. So therefore, there are two values for this one. Cos 0 degrees equals to 1 and cos 360 degrees equals to 1. So those two are the solutions. All right? And again, we can just find that by looking at the diagram. Okay, so have a look. Because now we're going to look at when cos x equals to 0. Have a look on the diagram again. We know that those 2 points are when cos x equals to 0. So what are the angles? Simply 90 degrees and 270 degrees. Those two solutions. All right? So cos 90 and cos 270 both equal to 0 as shown on the sketch. Okay? So now we're going to look at when cos x equals to -1. I hope you guys can just do this by yourself now, because cos -1 is over here. The angle that makes -1 will be 180 degrees, and that's the only angle. Okay, so therefore x equals to 180 degrees. So cos 180 degrees will make -1, as again shown on the diagram. All right, so familiarize yourself with the diagrams because we're going to be using this throughout this section. Okay, because it's much easier if you look at the diagram. It's much more precise. Okay. So let's have a look at the questions. Starting with question 17, okay, I drew my own diagram because it says find the angle for when x is between 0 and 360 degrees. So I know this, you know how this diagram continues on and on and on. So we're only going to consider when it's between 0 and 360 degrees. Okay? And we want to find the angle for when sine x equals to 1. See how this is the diagram for sine x? It starts from the origin, goes up and down, and it's from -1 to 1. Now, if sine x equals to 1, what is x? Well, that's when it's 1. That point there is 1 when the graph is 1. So therefore the angle that makes 1 is 90 degrees, and that's the only solution. So therefore sine 90 is 1. Therefore 90 is the answer to this question. Okay, so again, that was really simple as we looked at the diagram. Okay, so have a look at that one, and let's go on to the next question. Question 18 says, find the angle. Again, it's going to be between 0 and 360, because this one is going to keep moving on and on. So we want to know this time when sine x equals to 0. Okay, so have a look on the diagram, guys. Those 3 points make sine x equal to 0, isn't it? Because it's on the x-axis. So therefore, the 3 angles that make sine x equal to 0 will be 0 degrees, 180 degrees, and 360 degrees. That's the answer. So we've got 3 solutions for this one. Alright, so very simple. That's question 18. Now, again, when x is between 0 and 360 degrees, we want to find x when sine x equals to -1. Simply look at our diagram again. It's going to be only that point there, isn't it? So therefore, the angle that makes sine x equal to -1 is simply 270. So x is simply 270 degrees. Alright, and that's the only solution. So that's question 19. Now question 20. Again, we're going to look at when x is between 0 and 360, because this is a cos graph, but the cos graph also goes on and on and on. So we're only going to consider from this domain. Now it says find the angle for when cos x equals to 1. So when is, on the diagram, have a look, when is cos x equal to 1? Simply this point and this point. Okay, the graph is at 1. So therefore the angles that make cos x equal to 1 will be this angle 0 and this angle 360. So therefore 0 degrees and 360 degrees are our 2 solutions. Okay, that's question 20. Now question 21. Find the angle again between 0 and 360 degrees if cos x equals to 0. Okay, well, when is cos x equal to 0? Those 2 points. So therefore the angles that make cos x equal to 0 will be 90 degrees and 270 degrees. So those are the 2 solutions for x. Alright, so I hope you're getting much more used to this now, because it's very repetitive, isn't it? Now, question 22. Find the angle for, again, between 0 and 360. So they will usually give you a domain all the time. If cos x equals to -1. Have a look on the diagram again. Hope you guys can just spot it, that's the point when cos x equals to -1. So the angle will simply be 180 degrees, only that point there, as shown on the diagram. Okay, and that's the only solution, and that's the answer for question 22. Okay, so I hope that was pretty simple. Make sure you know how to draw those diagrams. That was special angles.